Welcome back to FlexPath DXP. Terry, what's on your mind?
Thanks, Jay. Well, there's some exciting news at FlexPath DXP. We just launched our personalized shop by payment, and initial results have been like off the charts. It's like something, we have the Get Pre-Qualified, which does amazing results against legacy pre-qual apps. We have single vehicle pre-qual, where we have the single payments, CTAs on dealer websites. But shop by payment is a whole different way of shopping. It's actually built the way consumers shop. They want to know what kind of vehicle they can buy for a certain budget. Okay. That's the premise. That's how it starts. It doesn't start with a vehicle. We don't ask whether it's new or used. What do you want to buy? And how much do you want to spend? And how much cash do you have to put down? Right. Those are the three questions. It starts with that. And we just launched. We've been in pilot for a while, and we knew it was good. This is something we've done in the past, by the way, previous company. But this new version sits on top of our VeriQual product, okay, which is our identity verification with credit prequalification with just a phone number, right? So conversions are off the charts anyway with all of these products because we're starting with the phone number. This is something we filed a patent for. It's totally unique in the industry. When I go to events, NADA, whatever I go to, it's QR code start with. It's the conversions are ridiculous. But shop by payment's different than get pre-qualified, right? Get pre-qualified can tend to be more geared toward more credit challenged. Shop by payment is full spectrum credit because everybody wants to know what they can buy for a monthly payment. So it's not about can I get approved, it's what can I buy for a budget that I have in mind. And so we launched, and the results, just the initial results, have been just ridiculously phenomenal. We're seeing four to 8x more than what we were getting just on the get pre-qualified single vehicle. And that was 2 to 4 times more than just legacy web apps, pre-qual web apps that you have on your site. So the progression has been exponentially better. And again, we're focused on budget and just doing it with a QR code. So now what we're able to do is get more people into the funnel because everybody can do a phone number. They're used to doing one-time passcodes. It's nothing new. They appreciate us making sure and verifying identity. That's a big thing, right? Because we're not asking for name and address and all of that. Social, date of birth. Let's do your phone number, verify who you are, and then let's go with showing you the inventory that you can buy for your monthly payment based upon real credit. So in the past or recently, we've seen companies announce shop by payment, but it's the same old where they're asking one of two things. Either what do you think your credit score is, which is a non-starter for anybody that's going to quote real payments, right? If I have to ask you what you think your score is, and I'm basing payments on that and only that, not other credit elements, then you've already lost, right? We're talking, that's old technology. We were doing that, 2000 and early 2000s. That's so old. So, it's good that people are starting to catch up with what we built in the past, but now we're at a whole nother level, right? With shop by payment, the new shop by payment. So this was just experience on putting the CTA on a website, okay? Which is great, phenomenal. But what if we took that QR code, shop by payment QR code, gave it to the salespeople? And initially it's on the lot. If I'm a salesperson and I'm talking to a consumer on the lot and I want to know, you as the customer want to know what you can buy, it's a great conversation for me as a salesperson to say, hey, look, we'll just scan this QR code. We can pre-qualify you. I will show you everything in our inventory. We don't have to walk around the lot wondering. I'll show you everything you can buy for the budget that you want to be at. And there we go. It protects you. It protects your data. So as a salesperson, I don't see your personal information. It's all locked into a secured server. So consumers love that. They will engage with that because now it's on their terms. It's on their phone. They're doing everything and it's protected. So then I'm getting to the good part here because those are great things and they're ridiculously great with conversion and getting that customer where we need to be to get a deal. right? Get that customer as quickly as possible through vehicle selection, credit prequalification, knowing that we can get what they want. But how do we expand outside of what we're doing at the dealership as far as lead gen? You got your website, you got social media market, you got marketing, whatever it is, digital, pay-per-click, social. You've got maybe you're running direct mail campaigns, which this works great for, by the way. Can you imagine getting a mailer that says, hey, scan this QR code and we'll show you everything you can buy for your monthly payment? Whoa, that's pretty cool. I'll have results on that pretty soon. But how else can we generate leads outside the dealership? What if each salesperson had their own personalized shop by payment QR code? Now, not only as a salesperson can I engage with people in the showroom and on the lot, but now I'm at home. I'm at my kid's soccer game. I'm at the coffee shop and I hear somebody talking about buying a car. The conversation comes up, however, wherever. By the way, Jay, I can show you exactly. Hey kids, great shot. Oh, by the way, Jay, you can scan this code right here and I can show you everything in our store. As you know, I'm a salesperson. I work at XYZ Motors and I can show you everything in our store. You want to buy an SUV? Great. Let's find out which SUVs we have that fits your budget. I can do it right now. Like right now. Can you imagine now as a salesperson, I can be anywhere and everywhere selling my dealership, my services, helping consumers match car for in budget, right? I can do this on my own private personal social media campaign. And what's great is every lead that's generated, right, by this personalized QR code goes directly into the CRM. It shows you everything that was built, what vehicle the customer is looking at, all the OEM captive programs if they selected a lease, which that's another great topic that we'll want to continue to talk about is leasing and how that helps affordability in the marketplace, both new and used. But having that lead come in and be tied to that salesperson automatically in the CRM. Whoa, think about that. So I was talking to one of our dealers in person. I had a meeting and we were talking about all of this. And then I was like, hey, you know what we could do? Why don't we have a contest? We could have a contest. Whoever gets the most leads outside the store gets whatever. And one of our dealers was like, oh yeah, we have this thing where if they do something, they get to pull an envelope off the wall. It's taped to the wall. They pull an envelope and it's $100. It's $500. It's a day off. It's whatever, free lunch, whatever it is, right? You could have a contest who gets the most leads outside the store. And guess what? It's not limited to salespeople. Every employee at the store can now become a lead generator. Anybody. Doesn't matter whether you're in sales, service, hanging promotional material, whatever it is you do at the store. Accounting. Now you can have your own QR code and talk about the store outside without even having to sell because the QR code takes over. Once they scan that QR code, they're in the shop by payment process. You don't have to explain anything. You don't have to show them how it works. It's so intuitively built that they just go right through it. Now, tell me that's not exciting.
You know, it is actually exciting, and I didn't know there was all that much to it. I mean, I knew, shop by payment, you got my attention, but anybody being a lead generator, actually, that is a great idea.
I thought it was.
That is a great idea.
And the dealer was like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. That doesn't cost anything. Or here's what I was thinking. Actually, the first thing I said was, you can pay your salespeople, you're paying for leads now. Maybe you pay them some nominal amount for each lead they generate. I don't know, right? We're still playing with this, but just the thought of that is like, wow.
Well, because when people have worked somewhere for a while, no matter what they do, they believe in the brand and they'd love to be rewarded for bringing in leads.
Yep. I think it's a great way to do it and easy because right now, if you work at a dealership and you're a salesperson, okay, yeah, I work at XYZ Motors. Come on down, go to our website. It's cumbersome. How am I? Okay, you're looking for a budget. All right, I'm not in F&I maybe, right? I'm a salesperson. I don't know the F&I piece as much, so it's hard for me to tell you, looking at my website, what you can buy for a budget without shop by payment. I mean, there's sites that have generic payments and you can sort and all that, but it's not a shop by payment experience like this is. There's nothing else like it. So it's built on it's built on our patent pending VeriQual platforms. There's nothing like it in the marketplace, period. So I know
And
that for a fact.
I actually had that question. I was thinking, well, how does VeriQual tie into shop by payment? How do I get across to, as the car buyer, to the dealer, get across what I'm working with? Also, you made the point about stated income. Stated income was before we had the technology to verify on the spot. So
Mhm.
yeah, you're hitting a lot of important topics at the same
Yeah.
time.
Yep. Yeah. It's exciting. So we'll see where it
It
goes.
is.
But yeah, can't, I mean, I don't, can't sleep. I just so excited about talking to dealers about it. And every dealer I've talked to has said yes. They're like, well, yeah, I want this. Nobody else has it.
Right. Well, and I mean, you've got such a background in the space, like you said, in sales.
Well, I'm a
Did you say
lender and I'm a lender. So this is kind of our core competency.
that's amazing? Let's move into your spring conference. Tell me more about NVLA Conference 2026.
Yeah, so National Vehicle Leasing Association is our conference, our spring conference. It's exciting as usual. It's coming up, and we've got a great event coming up, and it's bringing together, we've kind of expanded on it a little bit. People that have known the NVLA in the past have maybe thought it gears more toward commercial leasing, which it does. Most of our members are commercial lessors, so they're able to help small businesses obtain vehicles and do leasing. We also, those same independent leasing companies help franchise dealers with their commercial leasing because they don't always have in the commercial fleet department the ability to tackle all the different types of leasing possibilities that we need. You got the captives, which is great, but commercial is a whole different subject. It's a whole different deal, and NVLA helps franchise dealers with their commercial lease needs. Matter of fact, I was just at an independent dealer talking about shop by payment, and I was talking about NVLA, and he's like, I've got 70 of these transport vans for both medical and school that would love to be able to lease those. And I'm like, okay, well, there's National Vehicle Leasing Association. So I'm going to hook that dealer up to one of our NVLA members for to help him out with his commercial van leasing. And those who have been to an NVLA conference, you know it's different than any event in the marketplace. It's like family. When we get together, and we're talking primarily owners of their leasing companies, we have now been really expanding into the franchise side to help with their new car lease penetration, which I always tell a dealer you should be at 85%. And they're like, what? How does that happen? Well, come to NVLA, become a member, learn. We're putting together educational programs to help dealers to expand their lease penetration, both on new and used. And we've got some special programs for used car leasing that we've partnered with some national lenders for that. National coverage with full spectrum used car leasing. So we're expanding more with retail, both with the consumer and franchise dealers, along with our consumer independent lessors. And we're also adding a lease here, pay here section of NVLA. We have some great partners that are really helping the lease here, pay here, LHPH marketplace. But, it's a great event. I know that you're planning to be there, and I think you're kind of excited about the event and what's going to be happening there, right?
I am. So I want to ask you this: is the ideal attendee a dealer, whether it's independent, please here, pay here, franchise, and your speakers and members tend to be educators and lenders in leasing? Am I right? Is that kind of the
Well, that's part of it. Then we have all the supporting vendors to go with it, right? So you have
right?
our supporting vendors, you've got the lenders that are doing the leasing, offering lines of lease or direct leasing. We have the independent lessors who are using those lenders for lines, or they have their own uh, um, lending that they're doing. The lease here, pay here. We have a whole platform for that. That if a dealer, whether you're a franchise or independent, wants to get into lease here, pay here, we have the education to how to do that, right? But it's a whole nother sector of the marketplace, is that right? But
Right.
we want to make sure if you're doing it, leasing has many more advantages to buying for buy here, pay here, lease here, pay here, tons more. And we're going to talk about that. We have tracks on that at the conference. So it's not necessarily about those who are already doing it. Yes, come hang out, learn something new. If you're involved at all in the consumer, commercial, lease here, pay here, come on. You're going to learn something. You're going to be with like minded people, and you're going to be in an environment that's like family. And it's just amazing the what we're able to accomplish there.
So the NVLA 2026 conference, it's a 2-day event. It starts on Wednesday, March 4th with a plant tour. Am I
Yeah.
right?
So, yeah, Nissan's one of our great longtime sponsors, and we're in Nashville for 26. So it makes sense. They're going to give us a plant tour, that's crazy cool.
That's awesome.
And yeah, so that's exciting. And the plant tour, that's the first day. And then we have a reception that night. And then we have Thursday, Friday with Thursday that's going on, sessions going on. And then Friday morning we have something that we kind of wrap up. So, but it's ding ding ding, but it's evening receptions and some really some special people that you're going to meet. Charlie Vogelheim is our master of ceremony. Great, he's always great. Go just because of Charlie if you're going to go.
Yes, that you should go just because of Charlie. But you've got education sessions, sponsor events. Okay, so the NVLA 2026 conference is a 2-day event. The first day is a tour of the Nissan plant. On Thursday, you've got education sessions, sponsored events. You also have women in leasing. Tell me more about that.
Yeah, that's it's a few years now we've had it, and it's growing every year. And I think we're seeing that across the industry in general. More women getting involved in the industry, and I think it's great. I mean, I just it's great working with women, and I tell them why, and I'll just say it here. There's two reasons. One, the egos aren't like men's, right? You're not fighting that ego where I can do everything. Two, it's all about getting stuff done. I'll say it that. I'll keep it
And
clean.
three, you got a lot of female car buyers out there that,
Yes. Yeah.
right? This helps.
Well, yes. And because if you're in the industry, as a female, you understand what that thought process is. So you're able to help create a consumer experience that relates more to women, I think. And that's a great thing, right? It's really great.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. That sounds great. I can't wait for the event. I'm looking forward to being there and meeting, connecting, recording, sharing, and learning, etc. So we're going to do that. Really looking forward to that. Before I let you go, fraud in the news. What's happening right now, latest?
Well, I think the industry is really starting to um, understand what is really happening in the fraud side, and it is multifaceted. And I'm going to talk from my experience because there's multi levels of fraud, right? Dealer, consumer, everything in between. But what we're focused on solving is the identity fraud when somebody pre-qualifies to buy something, right? A vehicle. And that's important because you need to upfront figure out who you're dealing with before you get even further in the process, before you even pull credit. I mean, we've got to verify people and who they are before we pull the credit. Again, VeriQual was built for that. Identity verification, credit pre-qualification comes second. But now what we're seeing is, and I just saw something from Experian, 9 out of 10 dealers are concerned about fraud, right? It's constantly talked about at industry events. You've got AI, you've got fraud, and consumer affordability. Those are the three big topics that every event's dealing with, and they should be because you only need one to make it very painful. not just on the loss of money, but your reputation as a dealer. So those two things for sure. But the other thing we're just starting to hit to touch on is um, um, lenders reporting charge-offs. And I caught a little bit of this last year at one of the finance industry events where I think the percentage of charge-offs, 20% could have been from fraud, not just a credit issue, but actual fraud. Because if you put something on the books and it's fraud, as a lender, you may not know about it until later. Matter of fact, so that 20% number, now I think I just saw something about 24%. So it's starting to go up a little bit. We don't really know. Lenders don't even really know what percentage of their portfolios are fraud. And that is a big problem. The only thing I'll say about that, because we can talk about this for hours, or at least for a longer period of time. But here was something that I just thought about recently, like in the last few days. A lender requires dealers, they won't lend on um, fraudulent titles, um, vehicles with damage, whatever the stipulations are, right? So if you're gonna write a loan for a lender, the car has to be clean, okay? In most cases, and there's various levels of that, but regardless. Well, dealers are using Carfax and Vindata and other companies, AutoCheck and others, to verify that the vehicle is what it should be. Okay, great. But the lenders right now are not making sure the dealers are checking for identity, right? So I know there's levels of, and we talk about this as a fraud stack, right? We're one piece of the fraud stack. We're at the very top of the level. And then there's driver's license scan and all these other things that are the fraud stack is made up of, with different companies doing different things, which is really the best way to attack fraud, because not one company can do everything, even if they say they can. But I think, and I'm a lender, right? I'm a leasing company. I think they need to get more involved and say, look, every deal that comes through has to have some type of level of fraud prevention or some other, mainly fraud for my case, or what I'm looking at for a lender. That's where we're going to hit at. So you got Carfax, you got these other checks that you got to do for the car itself. Now we got to check the consumer and the identity.
So, here's a question. I read about different types of fraud, think about different types of fraud. My main area is logistics. Logistics fraud is obviously a big problem. But could you distill what are the main areas of fraud for a dealer?
Well, I mean, there's from where I look at it, it's I'm looking at it, and again, I'm only going to really focus on what I know best. I can't know everything. I can't know
Right.
all the possible fraud. But what we're finding is all these pre-qual web apps that are out there that are asking for name and address and that. Those are that's the real liability we have in the marketplace right now. Because as we put out in our one of our previous public service announcements, these are like fraud incubators. These credit pre-qual web apps are fraud incubators. I can put your name and address in and a phone number into a get pre-qualified, and then that comes back to me as whether you're pre-qualified or not. Now all of a sudden I can use your information to go buy something. So, it's a pressure test of names and addresses and phone numbers to find out if that customer or that person is pre-qualified. It's a huge problem right now. And virtually every single web app is allowing that to happen. That's like it's a monumental problem. And we're trying to solve it. We've solved our part of it. We have a solution for that, but we're trying to get the rest of the industry to pay attention to this
Well,
before then it gets into the legal side with class action.
class action. Yeah, you were talking about that. You got my attention when you talked about class action.
Yeah, the class action is
Well,
coming.
one of the things I think about is and I think we all see this. There are so many solution providers for each type of solution. Every time I open my browser, there's another CRM provider or this or that, and I've got to imagine there must be hundreds of legacy credit web apps that people, I mean, is that part of the problem? What
Well,
is the root of the problem?
well, the root of the problem right now that can easily be solved is changing the way the prequal apps are being done, right? There's no identity verification ahead of time. So it's not hasn't changed. I mean, back when we created those, and again, I had one, right? I actually was one of the original starters of the full soft pull file with just a name and address. This was back in 2010. Let's just do the math, right? Back then, we didn't have that type of fraud. So we're in an age now where you can no longer do it that way, and it's ripe for a class action lawsuit that's coming. And unfortunately, I'm doing everything I can to let people know, dealers, lenders, vendors, credit bureau resellers, they're all it's still not
Who
much has changed except for
who would the class be in the class action lawsuit?
well, I
Consumers
would the consumers primarily because
because
well,
of the
and dealers.
credit fraud?
Actually, it's going to be dealers and consumers
Oh
because
boy. Yeah.
the consumers,
Who's going to be the defendant?
yeah, well,
The lender?
so they're all liable, right? So they're liable to the consumer for some part of this. The dealers are the resellers can be liable to the dealers, and for two reasons. Not just because the consumer is going to go after the dealer, but the dealer is going to say, wait a minute, I've been paying for all of these credit bureau pulls on fraudulent requests. That's, you're
Right.
literally
So you're not
talking,
the source if you're a reseller, or
yeah. So the
rather, if you're a
resellers,
subscriber to a tech, you're
yeah,
not the
I think
source.
the resellers are probably, and I'm not an attorney and I don't pretend to be
Well, I'm
one,
not
but
either, but
there's going to be a liability out there. And all I know is the consumers are getting hurt. We have that data on some of the dealers that are paying for fraudulent pulls. That's lost money, right?
right.
And if you think about the 20%, think about this number. If we're now thinking 20% of charge-offs could be because of fraud, take that number and figure out how many credit pulls were done and charged because of that. Now you have some real numbers and real money. Not to
And
scare everybody, but
whoa.
there are solutions today. You may not like it, you may not want to do it, but the solutions are there. Can't hide, and there it is.
And on that note, Terry, thank you so much for your time again on this installment on FlexPath DXP.
Thanks, Jay.